Hey YouTube. So I went to an event this past weekend. It's called ED Camp JOCO, and this was their fourth event. However, it was my first time experiencing it. But I wanted to share what the experience was as not only a participant but a volunteer of this event. I also want to talk about how it's different from a regular conference. Uh, who all was there, the demographics, the setup of the event, and then talk about some of the sessions that I went to. So, as far as like a regular conference, usually as a school counselor, I've gone to state conferences, I've gone to national conferences. Usually, you have your keynote, your sessions that are set up, um, and there you go. And typically, you know, as far as people that facilitate sessions, you'll have some people that have been doing this 15, 20 years or something like that. Maybe somebody from the community, this, that, and the third. Well, the difference between, a regular conference and an ed camp, or at least for ed camp JOCO, was it was very important to them that other educators were doing the conference. So these were educators in their own district that were facilitating sessions. And also, it wasn't like what they call a sage on the stage. So, how you have presenters that will have a PowerPoint or something like that, and then they're just going through the information. This was, hey, I have topics that I'm interested in, and I would like to facilitate discussion. So, in a lot of sessions that I went to, which I'll talk about later, it was a lot of discussion. Okay, so demographics. So, as a volunteer, I found out as I was doing the volunteer orientation that I was pretty much the only one from the inner city of Missouri. There were some other people from Missouri on the team as far as the volunteers or like those that were putting the event together. But, I'm the only one from the inner city, so I was the only one who looked like me on the volunteer committee. But even the day of, I was kind of the spot in the crowd. There were a couple other people that looked like me, but that's expected for Kansas. If you've ever been to Kansas or the layout of Kansas, it's very white. So that was what I saw when I went there. So, like I said, not surprised at all. It was reminiscent of my experience at K-State. But then also a lot of the educators, I want to say, were, mid 20s to mid 30s. Of course, there's some outliers in that, but that was typically the makeup, which is not surprising because most educators are young, female, white. so, uh, so yeah, and like I said, because we were in Kansas, and this event was put on by educators in Kansas, and I say the bigger districts in Kansas, so Olathe, I believe. I don't think Shawnee was one of the partners, but there were some people from Shawnee, and this, that, and the third. So yeah, as far as the setup of the event, so like I said, I got there a little bit early because I was volunteering, and like I said, the event was actually in Olathe West, which is a huge building. So if you think about Breakfast Club, like it's that very like stereotypical high school building could pass as dang near a community college building. Ceilings high, new furniture, things of that nature. Um, so anyway, I walked in and it looked like they mostly had everything already set up. As a volunteer, they gave us these volunteer shirts that were black and yellow with like the Ed Camp logo on it, which I thought was really cool to have them stand out. And they had like a breakfast table set up with, just kind of like continental breakfast, muffins and fruit, coffee, water. And these things later I found out were donated from the other districts that partnered with Olathe district. So, like I said, that stuff was free. The tickets for the actual event were free through Eventbrite. Um, and then 8 o'clock, we started with a keynote in the auditorium. After that, there were 4 breakout sessions. And like I said, you could choose which one you wanted to go to. And so I guess that'll get into the part where the session. So as an education consultant, and you guys know I have like a social emotional focus, that was more so the sessions I was looking for. So I think the first one I went to was like on resiliency, and we talked about like the effects of COVID on us, not only as educators, but just as humans. How did COVID affect us? And again, it was like facilitation, but then it was like it was a lot of talk and turn. It wasn't a presentation. The next session that I went to talked about like specific things in your practice that you feel like you had to do that might have be seen as against the rules. So like giving out homework. A lot of administrators want to give out homework. However, as a teacher, sometimes you see that might not be the best way to gauge your students' learning. The next session after that I went to was talking about social emotional learning and how do you facilitate that in your practice. I really like that one. Obviously, y'all know I'm all about social emotional learning. And then the last one was kind of a cohort group of instructional coaches, counselors, and administrators, and I believe talking about the challenges that they've had this school year so far. Like I said, so it was really interesting to kind of be in a room full of educators on the side of a consultant now instead of a school counselor. I still bring my school counselor hat to a lot of things because, again, I'm focused on social emotional learning and social emotional practices. But it's different when you don't have the stress of being in a school system any longer. It's just kind of like, I remember those days. I'm glad I'm not there. So all in all, it was a great event. It was well put together. Just seeing that, I was really impressed. I messaged another colleague and I was like, we have to do this in Kansas City. There's like no reason why it's not being done. There's so many well-educated and experienced. When I say experience, you could go through 1 year to school and have lots of experience, but I feel like educators, especially those that are still in the classroom, aren't given enough power. Like they have power, but a lot of them don't realize the power that they have or the weight that they carry, as far as like you are the ones that are in the classroom doing these things with children every single day. And so I get it when we talk about like state laws towards education and things like that. And maybe more so like, well, I don't have time for that. I'm getting ready for class. I have to grade papers. I'm not going to get involved in that. But I'm just like, teachers have such a voice. They have such experience. They need to be speaking more about their expertise, their experiences, challenges that they face. Because how else would people know? Unless you're in the classroom with somebody, you would not know these things. So again, I really like that Ed Camp was really for educators by educators, pretty much. So I'm hoping to see more events like this pop up soon, and I really want to do this video to, help increase some awareness about it. Like I said, I just happened to find it on Eventbrite, but hoping that they get more participants. Like if I was to eyeball it, it was probably maybe 75 educators in the building. But like I said, Olathe, as well as the 2 other districts that we're sponsoring, are very large districts. So, should be seeing way more people participate. But again, great event. And I'll see you guys later.